It's streaming sports.
He was a Giant, and he was a Cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
Good evening, Byron. How are you this evening?
Hey, good. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good. A lot of things still going on in sports. It's usually a slow time of the year because obviously you only have baseball, but there's a lot of things going on, and we're going to talk about those things. First of all, the NBA draft is tomorrow.
Yeah, the NBA draft is tomorrow. I know it's a lot of good, exciting young men that are looking to get drafted and fulfill those dreams that they had when they was a little boy. You know, it's exciting times.
Yeah. Victor, I think is way banana or something like that. I don't want to mess up his name, but he's going to be the first pick. But I watched him throw the pitch out for the Yankees game. He's not a pitcher. The ball is like a ping pong ball in his hand.
He got some long fingers, I tell you.
Yeah, he does. He did have long fingers.
Yeah.
But I'm still concerned because where do you play him? He's not big enough to be a post player.
I think he'll probably play in the 2 and the 3 position in basketball. They say he got some good guard. He can handle the ball pretty well. And
is he Kevin Durant type where he can play out there on the perimeter? That's the question you have to ask.
I think the first, the first year or two, that's where he probably be playing kind of like Kevin Durant.
Yeah, because he can't post up on some of those guys. They will kill him.
The Joker would kill him down low.
Yeah. And he does have some length. And I was thinking about that. If he can shoot, he can sit out there. It's going to be hard to block his shots because he's 7'5".
Yeah, he got some range.
He is lean. And then I remember what happened with the guy that the Oklahoma Thunder drafted last year. He was a tall, lean guy who played at Gonzaga, and he before he could even get to the court, he injured himself with a foot injury.
Yeah. I saw a little bit of him today. He was talking about how exciting he is to be going to San Antonio, which everybody anticipate, and and being there with the great history and not being too big of a marketplace, and just getting in there to learn the process of joining a good team.
But I see some issues because it's going to take them time. And I was looking at it today, and the last 10 years, the most successful first-round picks were my Minnesota Timberwolves with their big guy and Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
So they were the most successful. Everybody else has struggled at the number one.
Yeah, I forgot the guy that played with Sacramento last year. He did make the NBA All-Star game.
But he wasn't the overall number one pick, was he?
I thought I know he was in the first round. It might have been the top
I'm saying the overall number one pick.
Yeah, okay, got you. Yeah.
So that was the thing I was looking at. Overall, have struggled except for Wiggins. And I'm trying to remember the name of the Timberwolves. He played at Kentucky for a year and then left.
Yeah.
He was pretty good.
One of the things I see too, they had a special this weekend, I think it was Sunday night, about the local talents of Dallas Fort Worth area.
Yes, they did that are in this draft.
Yeah, and it's one kid from my church. He grew up in Arlington. His name is Josh Wash.
Yes.
He played at the University of Arkansas, and he's about 7 feet, and they thinking that he'll go in probably the second round.
Yeah. And now the interesting thing is Mitch Kupchak, who is the GM for the Charlotte Hornets, said he's going to pick between Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. The problem with taking Scoot Henderson is he plays the same position as LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
And Miller is more of a small forward, and he's not a power forward. He's a small forward. But Henderson's a guard.
But if you can bring a talented athlete like that, and they play the same position, can you kind of move on to the other position and make sure that you stack the talent pool?
Well, the only problem is matchups. If you got two smaller guys trying to play those two-point guards or two shooting guards, that's the thing that you got to look at.
Yeah, how
they fit in playing together.
Right.
The skills are similar.
I always thought of this. You only have one basketball, so
yes. That's the next thing I was going to talk about. Yeah. Is that the Phoenix Suns acquired Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. They gave up a couple guys, including Chris Paul, to the Wizards. But I don't think Paul's going to stay with the Wizards. I think he's going to end up being a free agent. And Paul blamed Isaiah Thomas for getting traded.
What? Isaiah Thomas, he's GM?
No, he's not involved in it. He's friends with the new owner.
Okay.
But Isaiah said, hey, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, Chris Paul, 38 years old, and I think now he's all about trying to get to a team that's going to go to the championship, NBA Finals.
Yeah, I understand that, but does he help that team go to the championship? And
he can't help Washington Wizards, no doubt.
No, and he could. Where's he going to play at? Is he going to play? They're saying he wants to go back to the Clippers, but the Clippers are not even close. Miami Heat, will they take him?
Yeah, that's about the best fit for him for us trying to get to the finals.
Finals, yeah. But on that Bradley Beal, you got Booker, and you have Durant.
Kevin Durant.
So you got, like you just said, you only got one ball. And now you got a problem. You got three shooters.
They can score 30 points, score 30-plus points any given night.
Yeah. But the problem you run into is you only got one ball.
Yeah.
And I don't see them with the length if Denver can keep the majority of that team together. They don't match up well with Denver.
No.
I mean,
right now, now they got the right talent in the right situation.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly. And now Bruce Brown, who helped them, he was integral in their quest for the championship, which they did win. He opted out of his contract. He had the opportunity to opt out, and they don't know that Mike Malone said he'd like to have him back, but obviously he's looking for to see if he can get more money.
Yeah, and that's so important. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind is the timing of your contracts and when you can move in the right talent pool of players that gel together, and then you have to have the right coaching style of philosophy that fits that talent pool.
Exactly right.
There's so many teams that were so close this year because it's a whole different season when you go through the regular season and then you reach the playoff. You might well forget about the seedings, the 8 seed, the 5 seed, or whatever. And that's what I like about basketball, because in any given week, any given game, you can be beaten.
Oh, no question. But enough basketball talk. I wanted to get that out of the way. Let's talk a little football. Tyreek Hill, receiver, gets in trouble for hitting an attendant at a fishing. They were going fishing, and he hit an attendant on there. And they didn't press any charges. But what is the problem with this dude? This guy's been getting in trouble since college. He was at Oklahoma State. He got in trouble for hitting his girlfriend, and he had to go to a smaller school. And obviously, he's a very talented person, but that's common sense. Come on, man.
Well, maybe you need to go to a behavior school, a school where you can sit down and talk about some of the things that of how you react to certain types of situation. Now,
Yeah.
he was out fishing and he hit somebody.
Yeah, and then because they showed him with his agent Drew Rosenberg,
Drew, yeah.
and Drew was messing with a shark, and he said, "Nah, man, I ain't gonna mess with that shark." He was in there wrestling a shark in the water.
Wow.
He done lost his mind.
Man, I mean that's I guess that's a trophy that he was trying to pull in. So
I don't know what happened, but that was the stupidest thing. He asked Tyreek, did he want to try? He said, "Nah, I'm good." There,
that thing can pull you in that water.
yeah, drown you.
Especially if you don't know what you're doing.
That's right.
That's when you know that you're a professional fisherman, when you can pull in the shark.
No, he didn't pull it in. He was in there wrestling in the water. He didn't have anything on. He was wrestling it. Drew Rosen. Yes.
Oh man.
He done lost his mind.
I thought he was on the hook.
He was wrestling it.
What?
It's on. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
I got to look at that because I met Drew a while back, and real good guy, real smart, intelligent agent. And when I did Terrell Owens, I did 5 or 6 football camps for Terrell Owens, and he would always come down and be a part of those football camps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that he would get in trouble. Some of these guys, just like what happened in New England with Jack Johnson, the defensive back, common sense tells you you cannot bring a gun on the plane. How many times do they tell you that?
Every day. That's all you hear.
Every single day. You hear it all the time. You cannot bring guns on the plane. And this guy brings a gun on the plane. He didn't have it licensed in Massachusetts, and he had 3 charges. He could go to jail for 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's some things you don't do.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, but then you have former athletes. Willie McGinnis. We know the issues he had in that restaurant.
Yeah, he went somewhere in LA, right?
Yeah, and got into an incident in the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just 2 days ago, he was at an LA Fitness, got in an argument with somebody. Him and his boys jumped the guy, and the guy said he's beat him up and had emotional distress from it.
And he was in the middle of that?
Yeah, he was in the middle of it.
What?
He got sued again. I don't understand it. And he's a former player, so.
Former player that was on TV a lot.
He's not even on TV anymore.
I know they took him off. Exactly.
Yeah, they took him off. I mean, is it worth it? That's what I'm asking you. Is it worth it?
No, it's not even worth it. I think too, it comes to the point where if you ain't got common sense, you got to get around people that do have common sense.
That's right. I agree with you.
Because man, I mean, you don't want to. Why do you want to get in trouble when you work so hard
to get there
at the point to where you are now in life? You're on TV, national TV, one of the top syndicated television sportscasting show, and then you messing that up.
Exactly. And then I look at Ja Morant, 25 games.
Yeah.
Zion has a woman who's going to have his child, but he got these other, I don't know what you would call them.
Side pieces.
Porn stars are putting out all that. I'm thinking this dude has lost his mind.
Man, we talked about getting associated, attaching an older player that you can come in and they can talk to you and help mentor you. And I think, we're saying it just in general conversation, but it's needed. I mean, it's needed to the point to where these guys got to,
It really is, but are the players open to it? The younger players?
They're not open to it. They don't understand walking around with a target on your back.
I was fortunate.
Yeah.
I had Ed Jones, I had Randy White, and they mentored me the right way.
Yeah.
Harvey Martin. And I did the same thing with the younger guys.
I'm going to tell you, all these this technology that changed the concept of I can do it, I can learn it this way, I can do it. Hey, Google how to do whatever. I think it done messed them up. It's part of.
I agree with you. I agree with it. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that we've become a society that these things are going on because a lot of it is common sense. Sometimes you got to walk away.
Yeah, common sense stuff that you need to control yourself and make sure that you have the right people in your circle.
Yeah, and because it's all about your image and your marketing, and that's not going to help it in these things. So it's unfortunate.
And just think, you can set you up for a lot of success with the NILs. I mean, now these new deals with image and likeness and things like that now, man, you can make a good living just being a college shop.
Yeah, just like this basketball player that was playing at Lake Highlands. He was the #1 player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He just left Lake Highlands' high school in New Jersey, in Texas.
In Dallas?
In Dallas. And he's going to a school in Missouri. He's going to school in Missouri. And the reason he's going there is because of NILs. It's a private school. So he can make money off of the NILs. So,
yeah, but you know what? The good thing now, if you got the skill set and you're highly talented, no matter where you go, they'll come get you.
Yeah.
It's not like, you have to go to a certain school to be seen no more. It's totally different thing now for us.
Yeah.
The exposure you need, but getting paid too now. You can get paid and you put some money in the bank.
Yeah, you can. So let's move on. Talk about some Cowboy and Giant news. Kadarius Toney, he wins a Super Bowl, obviously, with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he shows it today. He was on, I think, Instagram or TikTok, and he has his Super Bowl ring and puts up his middle finger and said, "This is to the New York Giants." What kind of that's not good.
Somebody needs to talk to him and let him know, hey man, this is like, you just one of the luckiest person ever.
That's exactly right.
Don't think you came over there and did something yourself. The team was already set up to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
You just so happened to get traded and they wanted you out of New York. But don't never go back and burn bridges that you might one day have to go back over that bridge.
Exactly. And I thought that was just in bad taste. Sometimes you can be mad, but keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
You can be mad.
I mean, I believe me, I know when I left the Giants, I was upset. I mean, 6 months ago, Phil McConkey called me and said, "Man, you should have been on that Super Bowl win." But you know what? I ain't gonna go back and crash the people that won the Super Bowl or look back down on it. And people always ask me, man, what you think about that? Do you have bad taste? No, I don't have no bad taste because I got to continue on with my life. I got a wife, I got kids, I got grandkids now. So you don't have to, that page was over and that chapter was over. But the experience that I had with the New York Giants and the friends and still talking to most of those players right now, that's lifelong. That's more than anything else I can have.
No question. I didn't get to the third Super Bowl. Obviously, I won 2 Super Bowls with in 1985. But that third one, I didn't get the opportunity to be there for that. But that's just the business. That's the business of sports. You got to move on. You're right.
Yeah, you have to move on. You can't get stuck in the mud. I mean, I think that's the problem with a lot of athletes. But why go and win a Super Bowl and still stick up your middle finger?
Yeah, that's no class there. I mean, that's no class. And then interesting thing on Cowboy news is that Dak Prescott has been working out with Zeke Elliott. And this is interesting. Dak Prescott put a 55-yard AstroTurf field in his backyard.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's working with Zeke Elliott out there and all the other players, obviously.
Yeah.
Dallas never should have let. It's just the business. Jerry Jones came in and said, this is not a personal. He talked to me about it. It's not a personal decision. It's a business decision. And I was getting older. And I understand it. At that time, I probably didn't understand it all the way. But now, and later on, I understood it because I did make more money going to Buffalo as opposed to being in Dallas. That's just the reality of it. Anytime you're in a sport, it's not personal. It's just that you got to look at the long term. They had drafted Shante Carver from Arizona State.
Which one was for crap? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I said Shante wasn't that good, but
no, he wasn't. But they had to find out how he good. And then the same thing happened with Buffalo. They drafted Marcellus Wiley.
Yeah,
take my position. That's just the way it is.
Well, that's football, and you don't wear it on your shoulder. You have to dust it off and keep going.
And yeah, business should be secondary, but it's not because I went back there. I coached there at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And
you came back and lived in the offseason here. Your home was here.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't something that, it's just the way it is. But back to Zeke Elliott, he's been working out with that. I kind of wonder about that because if he doesn't sign with the Cowboys, say if he signs with somebody that they play, he could tell them all the plays. And you think about that, and you don't ever think about that, but Zeke could say, hey, this is the checks and everything.
I think it'd be interesting if we can go to the Giants or if he can go to the Washington Commanders. Play against Cowboys. Play against Cowboys.
Now, Saquon Barkley and the Cowboys are talking again. Yeah, they should show a little loyalty to Zeke, but the problem with it is Zeke, he struggled they probably overused him early in his career.
I don't think he struggled. I just think he had that knee problem, and he, anytime.
Yeah, but is he healthy now? That's the question you got to ask.
But he is healthy now. I believe now he gonna go. Now he got something to prove. I think now he gonna run the way he always have ran in the past.
So my question to you is: they signed Ronald Jones to a free agent contract, and now you're going to tell Ronald Jones
don't have no history like Zeke. He don't have.
No, he does not. But I mean, he did play for two Super Bowl teams.
Yeah,
he did play for two.
That's the timing.
And then they got two young players that they want to look at. One's from Florida, and I forgot what the other ones, but they got to look at them. And Zeke could be sitting there unless somebody gets injured.
Zeke gonna be on. He gonna go. I'm pretty sure he gonna go somewhere and watch his style of play. He gonna have something to just.
You say that, but here's the thing: Dalvin Cook. I thought he'd be somewhere already.
Maybe just wait. Maybe they should wait to see. They probably real close to signing with somebody, but behind the scene, they probably just want to make sure it's gonna fit. I think that's probably what's happening with him.
Yeah, and then you got DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody said he's possibly going to New England. But the interesting thing, the last couple of days, that Dalvin Cook had said it'd be great if me and DeAndre Hopkins can play on the same team.
But how can they sign both of them? But
that's my point.
They can't sign them both.
I don't think so.
Who got that much money to spare?
I don't think. I'm like you. I don't.
Dalvin want over $12 million, and
then DeAndre wants 20.
Yeah, that's $30 million. That's a huge amount of money.
Who can? Even the worst teams in the NFL can't sign them
unless they go back to Arizona Cardinals. but Kyler Murray got paid, so
so you can't do that. I don't know, but he did mention that today.
That's what I need to find. I need to see who got the most salary cap, and then maybe we could just start working from that angle.
The Cowboys have quite a bit of space in their salary cap.
Yeah, they Cowboys ain't gonna pay nobody, but the quarterback.
They're gonna pay. They got Micah Parsons. They got to pay CeeDee Lamb, and they got to pay Diggs, Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, C. Lamb and Michael Parsons. Yeah, and Diggs. They all coming on a second contract.
Yes.
So they all gonna get paid.
Yeah.
But one of them ain't gonna get paid.
You don't think so, huh?
How can you pay all three of them?
They got to figure a way to do it. That's
and then your quarterback making $47 million.
Yeah.
Not this year, but probably
he's
next year.
closer. He's gonna have to. I don't think he'll be gone next year, but he's getting there. Him and Mike McCartney are on the clock. Did you realize this?
What?
That in 16 years, Romo and Dak Prescott, they've only had 2 quarterbacks, and they have not been to a championship game. They have not been to a NFC championship game. The San Francisco 49ers in that same 16 years had 3 quarterbacks that have been to a championship game.
3 quarterbacks.
Yes.
So what do you think what do you think? What's the difference? Is it management? Is it general manager? Is it coaching?
I think it's personnel.
Personnel.
I think it's having the personnel. You might, for many couple of those years, Cowboys had a really good defense, but they struggled offensively. Yeah. Then they had a really good offense, but they struggled defensively. It's a mesh of things. I was talking about it with Tony Tolbert yesterday. What our thing is that we were good on defense and we were good on offense.
Yeah. And y'all had a pretty good special team too.
We had really good special teams, but
special team coach. And good special team coach.
There was the 1993 Super Bowl was on when we played Buffalo the second time. And I never thought about it. Buffalo had more Hall of Famers than the Cowboys.
I didn't know. They had more Hall of Famers than the Cowboys?
Yeah.
They would have guessed that.
Yeah, they had more Hall of Famers. And that was the interesting thing because they had 2 receivers, James Lofton and
that's right.
Reed.
Yeah, Andre Reed. Yeah.
They had Bruce Smith. I mean, they had some talent. And then you got to put Cornelius Bennett in there, Darryl Talley. Yeah. They had really good offensive linemen and Ken Hall, God rest his soul, great guy. I mean, they had some talent, but we were different. We were built different. And
but when y'all make it to the playoff, y'all couldn't quite get over the hump.
When we were there?
Yeah, Buffalo.
Oh, in Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo.
I was in Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the team in Buffalo.
When I was there, you're right.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the channel. I won when I was with them. We were competitive, and we got always to the second round, but we lost to Pittsburgh with Jerome Bettis and Jacksonville.
Right.
With a Natron Means.
And Jacksonville was a young team then.
Yeah, they were.
But they had some depth.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It doesn't matter, you can talk about until that or it goes to a championship game, there was always going to be that question. And that's where Daniel Jones and any quarterback, until they get there, you'd like the Herbert from LA, the Chargers, and you got to win championships. So you got to put your team in position. And then you say, well, it is heavy pressure on the quarterback, but he's also most likely going to be the highest paid player on the team.
That's what football is. That's what football have became to. Yes. It's all about the quarter. It's a quarterback league.
Yeah, it really is. So those are things that you look at, and you don't have to necessarily agree with it, but that's just the reality of the league now, because everybody's.
Let me ask you a question. So if you the head coach of the Cowboys and Dak Prescott is working out with a player that's not going to be on the team, how do you feel about that?
I'd be careful what I tell him, because he's going to take the information, because Dad is obviously teaching him.
But why not work with Pollard and Jones? And
he's working with them. They all come over to his house.
But what I'm saying though, you have to create the chemistry, and you want players that are going to be there with you during the season. why? I understand they friends and all that, but I'm just saying, to me, I would make sure that Dak is working with CeeDee Lamb and Gallup and all the other guys, and Cook, Brandon Cook, all those guys. That's who he needs to be working with.
Yeah, but I think he is working with them. He's just him, and you play with a guy. I worked out with Leon Lett in the off season when I was in Buffalo. Friendships don't stop.
No, I ain't saying about friendship. I'm just saying about the chemistry that you need.
Yeah, but he's working with them. They're saying Jalen Tolbert, the kid they drafted, the wide receiver they drafted in the 4th round, is going to make a big jump. And normally with NFL players, the biggest jump is from the first to the second year.
Yeah, first, second, third. Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, I just think too that expectation for me, you win championship and you get ready for the season during the off season. This is a critical time. I mean,
it is a critical time.
From March to the end of June, you need to have your house in order for us getting ready to play for the fall.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Yeah. Because I was thinking about Mac and Rick, because Rick Sherlock is a visitor on there.
Yeah, hey, Rick.
They ever played against each other because they both played semi-pro. So I was wondering about that. But the preparation, regardless of what level of football you're playing, it is the off season.
It's the off season. It's what you do. It's what you do when others are not thinking about what they need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen so many guys work so hard, and they were talking about some of the HBCU players like Walter Payton and Jerry Rice, and they were showing some clips of them working out in the offseason, running up the hills.
Oh yeah, running up the hill
and stuff. But that just brought back memories to me because I did the same thing, and I think too is that you really prepare yourself for football in the offseason. That's no way about it. No, that's not a way to put it. You can't. And I think now you got all these players in the off season. They taking trips.
That's true.
They posting stuff on the social media.
Yeah.
And then guess what? When the season comes, they out for 2 or 3 weeks on the sideline.
That's true. I agree with you.
But you know what though, Jim? I'm telling you, think about this. We didn't hardly have too many people that wasn't on injured reserve. See, like to me, you work hard to get off injured reserve to get back on the football field.
I agree with you.
Now guys will get on injured reserve. They still in injured reserve 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, but Bill Parcells used to leave that training room at what, 35 degrees?
And you had to be there at 6. You had to be there early. And then you have to stay there after 2. I mean, so you have to stay out 2 hours after you get ready, everybody that's gone. So you put the time in.
And Jimmy Johnson would say, "You don't make the club in the tub. You don't make the club in the tub."
So
those things, but yeah. Hey, I got some things. I found this article on all the first rounders. I wanted to go over this.
Okay.
Bryce Young, and this is from the reporters or the media who covers them.
Okay.
He's living up to advertisements. He is everybody's expectations. But here's the thing that worries me, and I like Bryce Young. First of all, like you said, he's not very big.
He's not big.
And they always talk about these Alabama quarterbacks, and there's quite a few starting, but they haven't went to that next level.
The elite.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That doesn't make sense. It does make sense. And he works hard, but he can't do anything about his size because they're going to have to gear their offense around he's going to have issues because he's not very big. He's not much bigger than Kyler Murray. And I don't know if he's as athletic as Kyler, but he might have a quicker release, if that makes sense. So
yeah, jury gonna be out on him because of his size
But
And
they said he's just as advertised.
what's his mobility? I think too, his protection in college was pretty solid. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't a whole lot of sacks on him.
No.
But now you in a whole different world.
Yeah, he has usually the best players, in college football protecting them. So you're right about that.
And that's one of the things that Daniel Jones had to deal with, pocket presence. You know, and he wasn't used to getting hit a lot in college, but now when in the NFL, everybody's coming after you.
Exactly, and they can run too. D linemen can run in the NFL. Okay, C.J. Stroud. They said that Stroud's ball placement has stood out and throughout the spring, and his passes have rarely been off target.
To me, he was ranked better than most of the quarterbacks coming out last year, in my opinion. I really thought that he's got a lot of upside. He reminded me of Justin Fields. I mean, those guys, they got a set of skill sets that's really unique. And I think it's going to be 2 to 3 years before you really see them fully develop and what they need to be.
Yeah. They said he's been running exclusively with the first team. And what helps him is Case Keenum. Keenum has got to be one of the smartest football players I've ever been around.
And he know the passing philosophy so well. And that's what's good about it. Being in the right system.
Yeah, he's like having another another coach on him as a player.
He's been around. He's been around. He's been in all different types of offenses and terminology, and so he got the experience.
He can be his eyes because he can see things.
Absolutely.
Will Anderson, he's been running with the first team. He's the linebacker from Alabama, and they said that you can't really tell anything, which I agree, without pads. They're going to have to wait to the pads to see him. Anthony Richardson talked to somebody who played at Ernie Mills, who played at Florida, and said he's got a lot of talent, which we always talked about. But he said the biggest issue that's going to be with him is getting up to the speed of the game because his athletic system is only going to take him for so long.
Yeah.
He's going to work hard. He said the kid works hard, but he hasn't had a lot of game time experience.
He hadn't had a lot of experience, exactly.
Yeah. And they said their reporters said that consistency is always going to be the biggest concern for him coming into the NFL. And he's going to have to really work on that. It said the kid works hard, but he's going to have to put in extra because everything is going to be just like with all these quarterbacks are going to be the first time they see it.
Yeah.
And they're going to see different. They're going to think, oh, I can do this and that on the preseason. But as you know and I know, in preseason, it's different.
It's a whole different
thing. Because they're going to go to that first game and they're going to see, what the heck are they doing? Because they'll never show you everything.
You're going to see like something in fast motion all the time.
Yeah.
And you know what else? I think too, they done ease back on practice and the OTAs and they're not in full pad. They just with helmets everything. Exactly. And it's not the same.
No, it's not. This is not 7-on-7. This is real football. They really hit you.
And I think they done, in my opinion, I think they damaged the game by not letting them have full pass, doing OTAs. Every now and then you got to get them full pass on. It's nothing like being in the heat of the moment.
I agree 100%. Okay, Devin Weatherspoon, cornerback that went to the Seattle Seahawks. They said that non-padded and non-contact players haven't provided Weatherspoon a setting to show off his physicality. And that's going to be with all players, especially defensive. But you can find out his cover skills. Mm-hmm. Can he turn his hips? Can he run with them? And they got really good receivers there. So
they got good receivers up there. Yeah, exactly.
They got some really good receivers. So that'll be interesting. Paris Johnson, there's another one. Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle that went to
Ohio State
that went to the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
And it's hard to tell you what he can do until you get pads. That's like you said, they don't do that anymore. So these kids, you don't know what these kids can do, especially in the offensive and defensive line, because they have to. The speed changes when you put pads on.
Absolutely.
Out of the pajamas. So.
And they got to put that Deacon Jones head slap in there. They got to see if can they experience that real head slap.
Head slap is illegal.
I know it.
Tyreek Wilson from Texas Tech.
Yeah.
They're saying he hasn't practiced because he's still recovering surgery on his right foot. He went
to the Raiders, right? He went to the Raiders?
Yes, he went to the Las Vegas Raiders, but he had a follow-up procedure in March. Okay. So he hasn't taken the field, but he's 6'4", he's 6'6", 270, and you got Max Crosby and you got Chandler Jones. So right. I would foresee him not just walking in and being a starter. He'll be a situational player.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so this is the guy that he has an opportunity to light the league on fire, is Bijan Robinson.
They already said they're going to give him the ball.
Yeah, and he's a good receiver too, which helps him too. He's going to be similar to he'll be similar to Saquon Barkley. And
what I like about Johnson is that he got a good head coach.
Yeah,
and his head coach is one of the smartest offensive-minded coaches in the league, and I think he's gonna be real creative on how he can get in the ball.
Yeah, yeah. The next one is Jalen Carter from Georgia. That's the one who got in all the trouble with the car.
He going to the Eagles, right?
Yeah, and they said you can see his athleticism, but obviously there's a learn. He's not getting hit. I don't care how talented you are, because they thought the big tackle from Georgia was going to light up the league last year in Philly, and he struggled.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He got 2 or 3 teammates there from Georgia, so he gonna be comfortable because he gonna know some players.
You think so? But Byron, Mike Tyson said it great. You don't know what's gonna happen when you get punched in the mouth and you taste that blood.
that really set the tone. When you see the blood coming out and you don't get punched and you say, "Man, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. I didn't know it was that fast. I didn't know that this guy can do that." That's when you find out whether or not the dog will bite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Darnell Wright, another offensive lineman. I think he was from Tennessee, and they already put him in the starting lineup. We'll see, and it's hard to tell with offensive linemen.
It's really hard to tell the offensive linemen. It's a couple who came in and made some real big impacts in the NFL, but usually, after game 5 and 6, they usually kind of push on in there.
Exactly.
Because they have to make sure that these guys can really protect those quarterbacks.
Exactly.
And create the blocking scheme that they need.
Exactly.
Who else next?
Next one is Peter Skoransky. His grandfather played in the NFL, but he's an offensive lineman from Northwestern.
Yeah, he was very intelligent kid too, very smart, and
another left tackle.
He part to be a good player. I'm expecting big things out of him.
And the next one is another running back, which was kind of a surprise running back.
That was a huge surprise.
Jamal Gibbs.
Gibbs. He's from Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they thought he was going to be a second rounder. And that was shocked when he got drafted at that spot.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be a shock or two when you draft him.
Yeah. But they said he's been doing pretty good without pads, and we're going to see how he does with pads.
I think too. That's the kind of player that if he get his confidence up and everything go good, he gonna rectify. He gonna make an impact.
Yeah, no question. And then next is Luca Van Ness. He was the guy from Iowa. He wasn't even the starter for Iowa.
He was like shocked when they were shocked when they called. They didn't have him on the radar.
Yeah,
they had him on the radar, but they didn't have him expect to go that high.
Yeah. So and the same thing I tell you about, you can't tell anything about them. And the next one too is Broderick Jones, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the same thing. They're putting these kids in the fire, but you won't know anything because they're not going 100 miles an hour.
Not going 100 miles an hour. Another thing too, these teams got a scouting department, and so they scouting department ranked them, and then you got these experts over here on TV, ESPN, ranking these guys too. Yeah. And it's a whole different case scenario when you see the difference.
Yeah. And then the next one is Will McDonald, and with the New York Jets, and the same thing. He's not very big. He's only 240.
Right.
So he's probably going to be kind of what they call an elephant in their defense. Mm-hmm. And they project him as a pass rushing specialist. So
is he an elephant? Is the elephant same thing, a utility man, to where they can put him down on the line and then
or up? Yes. Yeah. So
elephant. I like the elephant. Elephant kind of be moving kind of slow though, don't you think?
Yeah. But the elephant that came from the old 49ers.
Okay.
They used to. Charles Haley was an elephant with them.
Oh, the elephant is in the room.
Yeah, really.
Oh, okay. Charles Haley. My phone dinged about 7:30 Sunday morning. He wished me a happy Father's Day.
Oh, good. Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback at the Commanders. I think you can tell a little bit more about the DBs. Mm-hmm. Because they're used to the 7-on-7 and they don't have to have pads on.
And you know what? And most of the DBs that go in the first two rounds are good, solid players. They're gonna make an impact to the team they be selected to. And every year you see it. You see it every year that these guys they got the experience and they got the reps. They've been doing it. Yeah. And they kind of know that they need to be man to man most of the time.
Exactly.
That's why they draft these guys.
Exactly. And they said he's got good anticipation, mm-hmm. and he's learning the routes and everything, and he understands football. That's what they're saying in Washington. Christian Gonzalez, he was drafted cornerback, drafted by
Oregon.
From Oregon.
He going to the Pats.
Yeah. And I think he was from the colony here in Texas.
He's from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yeah, and they said that he's a big guy, so that kind of fits what the Patriots DBs are.
He was my top two defensive backs this year. I thought he could have went a little higher, but man, they got a good player. They really do.
Mm-hmm. And they say he's been running with the first team. Jack Campbell is a really he's a linebacker with the Detroit Lions, mm-hmm. from the University of Iowa. Really smart guy, and he's always around the ball. But they said that he's still adjusting to the nuances of the NFL game. The interesting thing is how well he runs.
Yeah, he can run from side to side, and I think with the way Detroit play their defense, he'll probably fit in some of the pieces because they got some players. Their defense is going to be tough.
Yeah, and Dan Campbell said that he's a young player. He's smart enough, and he understands what's going on, but not processing it. And that's true with young players.
But he need to get in that playbook.
Well, he gets in there, but processing it in a playbook and on the field is different because it's like I told you, it happens so fast. No matter how athletic you are, you got boom. You don't have time to think. You just got to react a lot of times.
Right.
Another defensive lineman, quite a few defensive players. Caleb Cansey, he was the guy from Pittsburgh that was similar to
Oh yeah,
Aaron Donald.
yeah,
And they said that they can't tell right now. They said he's got ability, but they don't know.
Yeah, his ranking came up at the end. Seemed like right before the draft, they start mentioning his name more and more, and and they were saying that this kid might be able to make a huge impact, but it was a question mark too.
Yeah. Here's the guy that's interesting. Jackson Smith, I think is Nabab. He was a wide receiver that the Seahawks took, and he's after being limited with a hamstring injury that sidelined for most of last season.
Right.
They said he's looked at exactly as advertised. They said this guy could be big time. This
is when they started. This is when they got those 3 wide receivers in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They said when this guy is healthy, he can make things happen.
I mean, he could blow the top off you.
So the good thing Seattle is gonna have some good wide receivers. They already got
they got 2 really good ones.
They Pro Bowlers almost, and so that gonna be interesting to see how they work that offense in Seattle.
Yeah. The next one is just like you said is Quentin Johnston, the kid from TCU.
I love Quentin Johnston, and I thought he was where he going to? What team?
He went to the LA Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers.
Man, he got a good quarterback.
Yeah, he does.
That's the sleeper. That's my sleeping team this year.
Yeah, I know. And Darren James, the star safety, says he's that guy already, and he ain't been there that long.
Well, let me tell you the way TCU play their wide receiver. They usually run them on seam route and cross the field and try to get them open across the middle going. So this guy can run. I think he can right offense.
He'll stretch defenses down the sideline.
Yeah, and I
think he's not a big guy, right? He was more of a slot guy, right?
He's not that big, but Justin Herbert, he's gonna blow the top off of him.
Yeah. Okay. Zay Flowers from
he
Boston College.
He's from Boston College. I thought the Giants were gonna get him. It was getting close, and we thought that the Giants were gonna get him first, but he didn't last. He's one of those players that I thought he was gonna go. I think you're getting a good player in Flowers.
Yeah, and then we have Jordan Addison from Minnesota.
USC. Yeah, he went from USC, and man, that's a big plus because they lost his name Thurston, the wide receiver from Minnesota.
Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen. And then
he brings versatility.
Those 3 wide receivers right there, 3 that's in a row, they're gonna be productive guys.
Yeah. And then you got another New York Giant, Deontay Banks.
Deontay Banks been so impressive in training camp and OTAs. Great selection. He could have went earlier, but the Giants got a steal for that position.
And they started him off with the second team, but now he's running with the first team.
Absolutely. I knew it was just a matter of some days.
And the defensive coordinator said he lives like a goldfish. He's got a short memory when things don't go right. So
that's the way you got to play in the National Football League.
Yeah. Next guy is Dalton Kincaid, tight end. I thought this guy was really good.
They had 5 good tight ends in this draft, and Kincaid was one of the best. Yeah. And they got a player.
And Von Miller said this guy's insane. I mean, he's that good. He's gonna be. And they got a good tight end there.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. And you know what? When you got 2 good tight ends, you can run multiple sets.
Mm-hmm. And then you got for the Cowboys, Maxie Smith.
He's huge out of Michigan.
They're saying that Jonathan Hankton, who's been in the league for quite a while, is mentoring him. And Zach Martin said, but you can't really tell until they get the pads on.
Well, you know, he's supposed to be the kind of guy that plugged the holes, and that's what Dallas needs that.
And then I think in the NFC East, you're gonna need some of those guys.
You're gonna need that NFC East, exactly.
And then the next guy is Anton Harrison, offensive tackle from Jacksonville. And the same thing, when I think of offensive linemen,
Doug Peterson know you got to have that line, that beef.
He's going to start the first game because Cam Robinson is suspended for violating the PED policies. So it'll be interesting. I don't know where he's exactly from.
It take 3 or 4 games for a rookie to come in and make significant improvement on the offensive line. I mean, you see it every year. They put these rookies, but it takes 5 or 6 games before they really get the hang of it. And like you said, the timing, and but it just depends on his experience and how much some of these guys can really come in and make a plug.
Yeah, and then we got Miles Murphy, defensive end at the Bengals, and they said that he's looked good in the hand for 7-7.
That's a good fit for him. I mean, the Bengals are always smart in who they select. Now, you got to give them credit on their draft choices.
They are. They've done a nice job with it.
Yeah.
Then you got Brian Burress in New Orleans, a defensive tackle. They said he's been doing everything that's asked of him, but still, you don't know until you put pads on. So
and that's a good thing about New Orleans. They play some good defense. They have good defense.
Now the next guy is an interesting guy. He went to the defensive ends D-line summit for pass rushing summit, and his name is Nolan Smith. He's from Georgia, and this guy can run. I mean,
he was a steal. He was a steal.
I think he was.
I think the way he played at Georgia, if you put him in the right set on the defense, I think you just let him go. Just let him go.
Yeah. And the last guy is a guy named Felix Anu-Azuma, and he's a defensive end. He's at Kansas City. Shoot, I don't know. I'd like to be at Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes because you just come in and rush it. You know you're going to get some points from the offense, and we'll see what he does.
Kansas City have done well with their draft choices. They really have. So, it ain't nothing like going to Kansas City. You got Andy Reid, a fun guy to play for.
Yep. You're right. And then that's just all the first rounders for this year. And then, you'll see some of arise this year. Some it might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, and then, looking back on the year before, like Sauce Gardner and those guys, they really came in.
He did it the right way. He was brought in the right way. So.
Yeah, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those type of players to come in and add to the talent pool of your team.
Yeah. So, but there's going to be it's exciting. It's getting close. It's getting close to training camp. It's getting close to preparing for the season, and I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good season.
Man, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, man.
There's going to be some shocks.
That NFC East, whew.
It's going to be good, and that's where everybody's talking about the AFC East and some of the additions. Yes, they made some good, but they can't mess with the NFC East. It's a more experience.
The tradition never will go away with the NFC East. I don't care what I say.
The team that I worry about most is Washington because they could be really good.
Yeah, because of the coaches. They got some good coaches over there.
They just would, and they got some good players too in key positions.
But you got to remember the NFC Coach of the Year from the Giants. I had to say that.
Oh man! Before we go, we got to let everybody know that you're having an event in Texarkana tomorrow. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Golf tournament first.
Yeah, I got my golf clubs right here. Yeah. And I'm gonna hit them hard.
Oh yeah, he done made up all the rules so he can win.
We're doing a 2-man scramble, so so 2-man scramble. The other team keep the scores for the other team. So make sure there's no cheating. But we down here in the Piney Woods of East Texas, or the state of Arkansas, Texas, and we are here to raise money for the kids, giving back. This is my 29th annual football camp. and we got the fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi. We're gonna have the golf tournament, so we're gonna have some fun.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. But hey, it's time to go, and I'll be there tomorrow, and I'll be ready to play Friday and go to the help out in the combine on Saturday.
Yeah, we're gonna have some special food, some home cooking.
All right, then. Sounds good.
See you guys.
All right. See you later.
All right.
All right. Bye.